Good evening, dear viewers. This is George from Ireland. This video is a vindication of the recent President's Club party. Not that I attended it or had even heard of the President's Club until this glorious event took place. So about a month ago, an all-male party was held, and the waitresses and hostesses, well, you can tell by the suffix, were all female, and these women were required to wear skimpy outfits. What took place? Some flirtation, some repartee. What would you be expecting if you were hired and you're told only women can work at this event and the guests are all male? So that was that. Good, clean fun or between adults. Someone would be stupid not to expect some advances. And yes, there was banter and some touching was going on, consensual. It's been claimed that some of it wasn't consensual, which of course is reprehensible. So one woman sat on the boys' laps, and apparently some of the women there were prostitutes. The great majority of them were not. Some of them made agreements and went off afterwards at the end. I've seen that BBC interview, whereas one of the women who worked there was interviewed anonymously, her face blurred out, speaking to Emily Maitlis of the BBC. And Miss Maitlis's tone is entirely sympathetic. She's seeming terribly concerned, as though the most horrific experience has been undergone by this person. And this woman, she was honest enough to say that some of the females working there enjoyed it. Anyway, this woman who worked at this event told her mother about it and was feeling upset about it. Her mother called the police. Is she out of her mind? Called the police that an adult had a legal job waitressing at a party? What's the crime here? The police are not a therapeutic service. They're not there to respond to your emotional needs. They are to deter and detect crime. They're to save people's lives, not because somebody called you darling or something like that. It's outrageous. Anyway, this woman suffered so badly that she went back to work at the same event the next year. It shows you how ridiculous it is, how hypersensitive it is. It can't have been remotely bad if of your own free will, a year later, with all that time to reflect in it, you went back again. You know, occasionally people have an unpleasant day at work. I certainly have. Curiously, I've never called the police because somebody said something I didn't like, indeed even touched me in a way I didn't like, which has occasionally happened at work. Anyway, so then I watched the debate in Parliament, and the Labour MP, Jess Phillips, was in a tizzy of moral spasm. Women were bought and to act as bait, and it's totally unacceptable. She was in an ecstasy of rage. So there she was, moral grandstanding, as though she's a heroine to rescue these poor, oppressed damsels. Anyway, it's utterly contemptible. It's ludicrous and an outright lie. She made a fallacious statement. Nobody was bought. Some people were hired to work at an event for a few years, but the truth isn't good enough for her. And so men going to some of these events, the fact that they're going to be good-looking young ladies there, does that pull in the punters? Yes, it certainly does. Now, if Jess Phillips doesn't know that, well, then she's very stupid indeed. And so, is it bad that men are attracted to women, or vice versa? I don't think so. And that's the odd thing about modern feminism. It says that women should be assertive in their sexuality, they should feel guiltless about it, and that indeed is a laudable attitude to promote. But the same should also go for men, and indeed most men feel like this already. So people should be frank about it, express their feelings. I think that's good, and say things to people they think. Occasionally that will be not reciprocated. People might feel a tad awkward about it, but really this isn't a matter for the police, nor indeed a parliamentary debate. Are men no longer allowed to be straight, to appreciate female beauty of an aesthetic kind, and yes, indeed, sex appeal? Lust doesn't have to be such a terrible thing. So these Puritans should get out. Their bigotry is revolting. We're a free society. And now the party club has closed. Well, it got lots of free advertising. It should carry on going. I would love to attend such a party. And somebody started a hare about this event because a Conservative MP attended. And indeed the compere was David Walliams, the renowned actor. He has now said that he left early. He had no idea what it's about. He's revolted by this whole immoral spectacle. So there's a lot of jumping on the bandwagon. It's ridiculous. No harm was done. So Many people find their job occasionally unpleasant, a little bit stressful. Somebody said boo to you. Get over it. Are you an adult or not? There's no clear definition of sexual harassment. I realise such a thing exists, but especially in an evening event when the women are wearing short, tight outfits, yes, the boys will be a little bit turned on and they might say something flirtatious. Now, touching, what's unacceptable touching? There's certain areas of the body which are socially acceptable, certainly the hands for a handshake, somebody's shoulder, I think so, depends on the situation. Certain areas not. Something can be invited. How do we know? It's also imprecise, especially when the lights are low, when both people have been drinking. Flirtation has gone on, so there've been exchange of these glances, some coquetry. So I suppose that's half the battle. Indeed, the excitement not knowing whether such an advance will be accepted or rejected. And everyone who's made an advance has occasionally made an unwelcome one. And that's what being an adult is. And people should just deal with it. And we should not be writing screeds in newspapers about how terrible this is, that this is part of rape culture or something like that. So most men are attracted to women, and certain people need to accept that is the way the world is, and it's not a bad thing at all. I dislike these judgmental feminists who demand that they take away the freedom of everybody else. If you don't like this sort of party, don't attend it. Choice. That's the buzzwords for feminists, but not the choice of those they don't like, men or women. They want to deprive us of choices. Don't get such a job if you don't like it. I've done jobs I don't like. Work is called work. It's not called fun. Sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes disagreeable things occur. So, yes, I concur. There was exploitation going on. The men were ripped off by the high price, and then they were unfairly judged by vicious feminist bigots, male and female, who are so judgmental, are so puritanical. It's atrocious. It's abominable that people are trying to take away our freedom. So we must stand up for ourselves and assert the right to flirt and to go to these things. We could call it a harassment party, and you're only allowed to attend working there or as a guest if you accept that harassment's going to go on. You've consented. We okay with that? We can make it absolutely crystal clear. So at least the woman who was working there, she said that some women enjoyed it. Some didn't like their job. Well, to dums. Cry me a river. And by the way, feminists, have your own party, an all-female party with Chippendales. Nobody seems to object to that. Touch them up as much as you like. So it's ridiculous, the state we're in, that people make these absurd hyperbolic statements about a party which was a tiny bit controversial. It's very worrying, this trend to try and criminalize things, to be so judgmental, to use such over-the-top language about an event when there was really no harm done.